My name's Tim Stubbings and I'm a commercial photographer, which means I tend to shoot for companies rather than social photography. I can't draw. Simple as that. My brother is a really good artist. He doesn't do it professionally, but he's a very accomplished artist, and I can't draw. My children can draw better than I can. If I draw, it's just embarrassing. So when he picked up a paintbrush, I picked up a camera when I was about 10, which seems to be the age when a lot of people get their first SLR, 8, 9, 10. And I just fell in love with it. It was perfect. Not as a job. I think when I first started taking pictures, it was solely for pleasure and as a form of expression, like an artist would, I guess. And it was a very quick and easy way to translate thoughts into something physical, like a picture. Whereas it wasn't until I was in my late teens or at university that I thought I could maybe earn some money from this. And in fact, I had to earn some money from it because it was so expensive paying for film, which tells you how old I am. Completely self-taught. So I've made a lot of mistakes, occasionally still do, but completely self-taught. Never studied it, never. Except, can I just add to that? I have been on some training courses when I was older, provided by some great photographers like Damien Lovegrove. So I tend to have training as and when I feel I need a bit of new direction or a bit of a kick or some inspiration, but I wasn't formally taught when I first started. Well, I had another life before I was a professional photographer. I worked in mainstream business for a long time. I worked in London for nearly 10 years, and I was used to being around business people, and I liked the way that advertising worked and how it looked, and there was sort of a sharpness to it that appealed more than just being a social photographer. Although I have done social photography and occasionally still do when I'm asked to by clients, I just feel very comfortable in doing commercial photography. I think being outside of London makes life particularly difficult. So unless you are constantly meeting art directors and creative directors and meeting with agencies in London, it's very, very difficult. And the social life in London makes that so much more accessible and simple because you just bump into people after work. So you have to be a bit more clever with your marketing and spend a bit more time researching who you want to do business with and then targeting specific companies. Yeah, we do retouch pictures. That means different things to different people. There's beauty retouching for skin, which is necessary. Even if you've got a great model and you've got a great stylist and an MUA, you still have to deal with what the advertising industry would consider to be imperfections. And I don't mean changing people's body shapes or anything as extreme as that. We're talking about just fine-tuning what is already a good look or a good picture. With products, it's even more necessary. You do have to make sure that every possible imperfection is removed. And even really good, high-class, high-quality products, when they're shot at high resolution with good lenses and you see every fine detail, they have to be retouched. But I do most of it myself. Very occasionally, we will send it out to an external retoucher. Is there such a thing? All my clients are beautiful and delicious people who I wouldn't dream of ever having a problem with. But let's pretend that there are difficult clients that must belong to other photographers. I think most photographers like to work fairly independently because they are being paid to use their skills and their creative talent and their mind and everything else. So when a client is very, very directive or prescriptive about how a project should be implemented, I think that's probably the only area of conflict that I've ever come across where you want to be released to do your thing because you're hoping you've been picked because of your particular way of doing things. And you don't want to shoot with one hand tied behind your back. So that kind of differing of opinion that can occur between a photographer and normally an art director is probably the only source of conflict that I can think of. My biggest challenge actually was organising this studio, which we're sitting in right now, because it took a long time to find, a long time to convert, and it was during one of the busiest times I've known in terms of turning work around. So that was probably my most recent significant challenge. In terms of projects for clients, they're numerous. There's always a challenge of one form or another. I think we get paid, photographers get paid, to make things look different or better than they appear in real life. And that doesn't mean it's fakery, it's just being able to enhance or polish something that might require it. And as I'm talking to you now, I can think of numerous shoots that involve trudging through fields at 5 o'clock in the morning with agency people trying to make a sunrise that isn't there and faking it with location lighting, to being up in cherry pickers, on factory floors, all kinds of things. But that's kind of normal commercial photography. I can give you some tips based on experience I've had of having students work with me, and I've also taught students on degree courses, sort of introduction to commercial photography. And the one thing that comes across quite a lot is they tend to shoot only when they're asked to shoot or when they've been set a particular assignment. And this is a weakness of all photographers, including myself. It's called personal work. Really, we should allow much more time to grow and develop our skills and talent by shooting personal work, but we don't. I'm not totally sure why that is. But my advice would be, don't stop shooting. Just try and align your thoughts with how you want to express yourself through the medium of photography, and just overshoot, if necessary, as many things as possible until you find what you really want to do. I think that's the only way you can do it, through practice and through taking lots of pictures. I was up a ladder on the edge of the White Cliffs of Dover, and I swung my camera round over my shoulder in order to direct the people that I was going to be photographing. And as it swung round, it kind of came round and hit me on the shoulder, and momentarily my ladder with me on it started to sort of edge towards the edge of the White Cliffs of Dover.